The bell above the door jingled like a death knell as two burly police officers stormed into Harold Jenkins' tiny corner store, their faces twisted in accusation. At 87 years old, Harold had seen wars, lost loves, and the slow decay of his once bustling neighborhood, but nothing prepared him for the cold steel of handcuffs snapping around his frail wrists. "You're lying, old man," one officer snarled, yanking him from behind the counter where he'd stood faithfully for 6 decades, as if his word, his very life, meant nothing in the face of their certainty. Harold's heart pounded like a trapped bird as they dragged him out into the blinding afternoon sun. The store, his sanctuary filled with dusty shelves of canned goods, faded magazines, and the faint scent of peppermint candies, blurred in his vision. Neighbors gawked from their porches, whispering behind cupped hands, their eyes wide with shock, and a hint of doubt had the gentle shopkeeper, the one who extended credit to struggling families and shared stories with lonely widows, really fabricated a tale so grave? It all began 3 days earlier, on a rainy Tuesday evening that draped the town of Willow Creek in a somber gray shroud. Harold was closing up, his arthritic fingers fumbling with the ancient cash register, when the door burst open. Two masked figures, cloaked in darkness and desperation, brandished a knife that glinted under the fluorescent lights. "Empty the till, Pops," the taller one barked, his voice muffled but laced with menace. Harold, his knees trembling, complied slowly, handing over the meager day's earnings, barely $200. But as they fled into the night, one robber tripped over a loose floorboard, dropping a wallet that skittered across the linoleum. In the chaos, Harold snatched it up, his mind racing. Inside, he found an ID card belonging to a young man named Marcus Hale, complete with an address in the rundown apartments across town. Shaken but resolute, he called the police immediately, recounting every detail with the precision of a man who'd memorized the faces of countless customers over the years. The officers arrived, took his statement, and promised swift action. Yet, when they raided Marcus's place, they found no stolen cash, no masks, no knife. Marcus, a 22-year-old with a clean record and a job at the local factory, denied everything, claiming his wallet had been stolen weeks ago. The investigation turned on Harold like a venomous snake. "Why would you point the finger at an innocent kid?" Detective Larson demanded during the interrogation, his eyes narrowing in suspicion. Harold sat in the sterile room, the fluorescent buzz overhead amplifying his headache, as they grilled him for hours. "I saw what I saw," he insisted, his voice cracking with exhaustion. But doubts crept, and even Harold wondered if his aging eyes had played tricks, if the rain-smeared windows had distorted the truth. Back in his empty apartment above the store, Harold stared at the cracked ceiling, memories flooding him like the relentless downpour outside. He'd built this life from nothing after returning from World War II, a young veteran with dreams and a bride named Evelyn. They opened the shop together, raising their son Thomas amid the laughter of children buying penny candies. But Evelyn passed from cancer 30 years ago, and Thomas had vanished into the city's underbelly, hooked on drugs, leaving Harold alone with his regrets. The shop became his family, his purpose until now, when it all threatened to crumble. The next morning, the local news exploded with the story. Elderly shopkeeper accused of false report in robbery hoax. Reporters swarmed the store, microphones thrust forward like weapons. "Mr. Jenkins, why did you lie?" one shouted, her voice piercing his soul. Harold shielded his face, muttering, "I didn't," but the words dissolved in the cacophony. Customers dwindled, old friends averted their eyes. Isolation wrapped around him tighter than the handcuffs ever could. As days blurred into a haze of loneliness, Harold received an unexpected visitor. Mrs. Clara Thompson, a spry 75-year-old widow who'd been a regular for decades, knocked on his door with a casserole in hand. "Don't you believe them, Harold?" she said, her eyes fierce with loyalty. "You've got more integrity in your pinky than those fools have in their badges." Her words were a balm, but the wound ran deep. Clara shared her own story of loss, her husband accused wrongly in a workplace scandal years ago, driving him to despair. "Truth has a way of rising," she whispered, squeezing his hand. Yet, the pressure mounted. The police, eager to close the case, charged Harold with filing a false report, a misdemeanor that could strip him of his shop license. In court, The judge peered over his glasses, sympathy flickering briefly before hardening. At your age, sir, one expects wisdom, not fabrication, he intoned. Harold's lawyer, a young public defender named Emily Ruiz, fought valiantly, but evidence seemed stacked against him. Marcus testified tearfully, portraying himself as a victim of elder prejudice. Emily, sensing Harold's despair, dug deeper after hours. Tell me everything again, she urged in her cluttered office. Harold recounted the robbery, the wallet, the faces hidden but voices etched in memory. One had a scar on his hand, he added suddenly, a detail he'd overlooked in the initial shock. Emily's eyes lit up. That could be key. She promised to investigate, her determination a spark in Harold's dimming world. Nights grew longer, haunted by dreams of Evelyn scolding him gently. Stand tall, my love. Harold wandered the empty store, touching shelves that held echoes of better times. A child's drawing from years ago, taped to the wall, reminded him of the community he'd nurtured. Would it all end in disgrace? Then, the twist came unannounced. While Emily pored over surveillance footage from nearby streets grainy, but telling she spotted two figures matching Harold's description fleeing the scene. But more shockingly, a third person emerged from the shadows, a woman, her face partially visible, picking up something from the ground. Who was she? Emily traced license plates, leading to a name, Lila Hale, Marcus's sister. Confronted, Lila crumbled. It was a setup, she confessed in a tearful interview. Marcus, drowning in gambling debts, had staged the robbery with a friend to claim insurance on the stolen wallet and fabricate an alibi. Lila, loyal but guilty, had retrieved evidence to protect him. Her appearance was the unexpected pivot, a sister torn between family and conscience, shifting the narrative from Harold's alleged lie to a web of deceit. As the truth unraveled, public opinion swung like a pendulum. Protests formed outside the police station, chants of justice for Harold echoing through Willow Creek. The officers who'd arrested him faced scrutiny, their hasty judgment exposed. But redemption was bittersweet. Harold, frail from stress, collapsed one evening, his heart faltering under the weight. Rushed to the hospital, he awoke to Clara by his bedside. You're a hero, she said. Emily visited too, bearing news, charges dropped, an apology forthcoming. In the quiet ward, Harold reflected on human frailty, the lies we tell ourselves, the truths we ignore. Age hadn't dimmed his spirit, it had forged it. As machines beeped softly, he whispered to Evelyn's ghost. I stood tall. The national TV broadcast loomed, a platform for atonement. Detective Larson, humbled, prepared his statement, the weight of regret heavy on his shoulders. The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and wilted flowers, a stark contrast to the warm, musty aroma of Harold's shop. As he lay there, tubes snaking across his chest, memories resurfaced like ghosts from the fog. Evelyn's laughter during their first dance, Thomas's tiny hand in his moments that defined a life now teetering on the edge of vindication. News of Lila's confession spread like wildfire, igniting outrage across the nation. Social media buzzed with hashtags, Justice for Harold, Elder Abuse by Badge. Petitions circulated, demanding accountability. In Willow Creek, the community rallied. Neighbors who'd turned away now baked pies and sent cards, their guilt manifesting in acts of kindness. Clara organized a vigil outside the store, candles flickering in the dusk as stories of Harold's generosity poured forth. Emily Ruiz became an unlikely celebrity, her fiery press conferences dissecting the flaws in the system. This isn't just about one man, she declared, her voice trembling with passion. It's about how we treat our elders, the pillars who've built our world, dismissed as relics. Her words resonated, drawing support from advocacy groups and even celebrities who shared their own tales of injustice. Back in the precinct, Detective Larson paced his office, the case file a damning testament to his error. He'd risen through the ranks on gut instincts, but this time, prejudice clouded judgment. An old man alone easy to doubt, he admitted to his partner, regret etching lines deeper than years. The chief mandated sensitivity training, but Larson sought more, personal redemption. Harold's recovery was slow, each breath a battle against the toll of betrayal. Doctors warned of lasting damage, his heart weakened, spirit bruised. Yet, visitors brought light. Children from the neighborhood drew pictures of him as a superhero, cape billowing behind the counter. One boy, Timmy, whose family Harold had fed during hard times, whispered, "You're my grandpa now." Tears welled in Harold's eyes, a mix of sorrow for lost family and gratitude for found kin. As discharge neared, an unexpected letter arrived from Thomas. Postmarked from a rehab center in California, it read, "Dad, I saw the news. I'm clean now, coming home. I'm sorry." Harold clutched it, sobs racking his frame. Thomas, the son he'd mourned as lost, re-emerged like a phoenix, the twist amplifying Harold's emotional whirlwind. Was it coincidence or fate? Thomas's return promised healing, but unearthed old pain's abandonment, addiction scars. Emily facilitated their reunion virtually first. Thomas's face on the screen aged but hopeful. "I messed up, Dad, but your strength. It inspired me." Harold forgave instantly, his voice steady. "We've all stumbled, son. Come home." The conversation bridged decades, infusing Harold with renewed purpose. Meanwhile, the police prepared their apology. Chief Ramirez, under national scrutiny, scheduled a live broadcast. "We failed Mr. Jenkins," he confided in a meeting. Larson volunteered to speak, his statement drafted with raw honesty. "I accused an innocent man based on assumptions. Age isn't frailty, it's wisdom we ignored." The day arrived, Willow Creek abuzz. Harold, wheeled out to his shop by Clara and Emily, watched on a borrowed TV amid supporters. The broadcast opened with anchors recounting the saga, footage of Harold's arrest juxtaposed with Lila's confession. Then, Larson appeared, uniform crisp, but eyes downcast. "Mr. Harold Jenkins," he began, voice cracking. "On behalf of the Willow Creek Police Department, I apologize profoundly. Your truth was dismissed, your dignity assaulted. We were wrong." Cameras captured his bow, the nation witnessing humility. Chief Ramirez followed, announcing reforms, elder liaison programs, bias training. Cheers erupted in the shop. Harold, tears streaming, nodded. "Apology accepted," he murmured. But the moment transcended words. It affirmed that even in a fractured world, justice could prevail. Thomas arrived that evening, embrace fierce despite Harold's frailty. "I'm here to stay," he promised, rolling up sleeves to restock shelves. The shop reopened, bells jingling with renewed life. Customers returned in droves, sharing hugs and stories. Yet, Harold pondered deeper lessons. In quiet moments, he journaled, "Lies wound, but truth heals. At 87, I learned forgiveness isn't weakness, it's the ultimate strength." Clara, now a constant companion, added her wisdom, their budding friendship a gentle twist of late-life connection. National attention brought change. Donations flooded in, renovating the shop. Lawmakers proposed bills protecting elders from false accusations. Harold became a symbol, interviewed on shows where he spoke softly but powerfully. Respect the stories of the old. They hold the keys to our future. As seasons shifted, Harold stood taller, heart mending alongside his family. Thomas helped run the store, mending bonds. Emily visited often, her career soaring on the case's wings. But shadows lingered. Marcus faced trial. Lila turned state's witness, their family shattered. Harold sent a note. "May you find peace and truth." Compassion, even for adversaries, defined him. In the end, the ordeal forged unbreakable resilience. Harold gazed at Evelyn's photo, whispering, "We did it, love." Life, at 87, bloomed anew. With the shop bustling once more, Harold found rhythm in routine, but echoes of the accusation lingered like faint scars. Mornings brought the aroma of fresh coffee, brewed strong as Evelyn liked, while Thomas manned the register, his presence a daily miracle. "Dad, you've got mail," Thomas called one day, handing over an envelope from a prestigious news outlet. Inside, an invitation. Harold was to receive a Community Hero Award at a gala in the city. Excitement mingled with trepidation. "I'm no hero," Harold protested to Clara over tea. She smiled, patting his hand. "You are to us." The event promised closure, but stirred memories. The handcuffs bite, the interrogations chill. Emily encouraged him. "Your story inspires change. Go share it." Preparations unfolded amid Willow Creek's embrace. Neighbors donated a suit, tailored to Harold's slender frame. Thomas practiced his speech, pride swelling. On the drive to the city, father and son talked deeply, regrets aired, forgiveness sealed. I ran from pain, Thomas admitted. But you faced it head on. Harold nodded, eyes misty. Pain shapes us, son. It's how we rise that counts. The gala shimmered with lights and laughter, attendees a mix of dignitaries and advocates. Harold, escorted by Emily, felt out of place until spotting Detective Larson in the crowd. Their eyes met. Larson approached hesitantly. "Mr. Jenkins, may I?" he asked, extending a hand. Harold shook it firmly. "Water under the bridge." Over drinks, Larson shared his transformation. "Your case changed me. I'm mentoring young officers now." The exchange, unexpected, humanized the man who'd once accused him, adding layers to Harold's healing. As awards commenced, a video montage played. Harold's life in snapshots: war hero, devoted husband, community pillar interwoven with the scandal's drama. The audience gasped at arrest footage, cheered Lila's confession. When Harold took the stage, applause thundered. At 87, he began, voice steady. "I was called a liar. But truth isn't age-bound. It's soul-deep." He spoke of Evelyn's enduring love, Thomas's return, the community's support, emphasizing unity over division. The speech resonated, tears flowing freely. A standing ovation followed, with the mayor presenting the plaque. "You embody resilience," he said. Harold, humbled, dedicated it to all forgotten elders, whose voices deserve amplification. Post-gala, media swarmed, but Harold focused on personal connections. A young journalist, inspired, vowed to cover elder stories. Clara, beaming, whispered, "See? Your ripple effect." Back home, life evolved. Thomas proposed modernizing the shop online orders, fresh produce blending old with new. Harold agreed, finding joy in adaptation. Sundays became family days, with Clara joining for dinners, her stories weaving into their tapestry. Yet, a subtle twist emerged. Anonymous letters arrived, praising Harold but hinting at deeper conspiracies. One read, "The robbery was no accident, debts tied to bigger fish." Emily investigated, uncovering Marcus's ties to a local crime ring. The case reopened, exposing corruption in the factory where Marcus worked. Larson's team led the charge, redeeming further. Harold testified again, this time empowered. "I saw evil, but also good in redemption," he stated. Arrests followed, cleansing Willow Creek. Amid triumphs, health faltered. A minor stroke sidelined Harold briefly. In recovery, he reflected on mortality. "I've lived fully," he told Thomas. Visitors poured in, affirming his impact. National TV revisited the story, a follow-up special featuring Harold's award. Larson appeared, crediting him. "He taught us humility." Viewers nationwide sent support, funding a scholarship in his name for elder advocacy. As winter approached, Harold sat by the fire, Clara beside him, hands entwined. Romance bloomed late, tender and profound. "You've given me a second chance," he murmured. Thomas, thriving, announced his engagement, inviting Harold to walk the aisle. Joy overflowed. In quietude, Harold penned a memoir, words flowing like therapy. From accusation to apology, I learned humanity's core. Empathy bridges divides. The shop thrived, a beacon. Harold, at peace, knew his legacy endured not in headlines, but hearts touched. Spring unfurled in Willow Creek like a promise kept, blossoms mirroring Harold's renewed vigor. The shop, now a hybrid of tradition and innovation, drew crowds from afar, tourists snapping photos, locals sharing tales. Thomas's fiancée, Sarah, a nurse who'd cared for Harold during his stroke, brought fresh energy, her laughter echoing Evelyn's. Harold's memoir, self-published with community help, sold modestly but impacted profoundly. Readers wrote, "Your story healed my family rift." One letter from a distant relative revealed a half-sibling Harold never knew Evelyn's secret child from before their marriage, given up for adoption. This revelation, the final twist, shattered then rebuilt his world. Why hide it, he pondered, but understood times were different, shame pervasive. Contacting her, Amelia, now 65, they met tearfully. "Mom spoke of you fondly," she said, sharing photos. Bonds formed instantly, Amelia visiting often, adding branches to Harold's family tree. Her presence emphasized life's surprises, underscoring themes of forgiveness and hidden truths. As fame faded, Harold advocated actively speaking at schools, lobbying for elder rights. Emily, now a partner in her firm, collaborated on cases. Larson retired, but volunteered at the shop, mentoring youth. Full circle, Harold mused. Health stabilized, but age whispered reminders. A checkup revealed manageable issues. Harold embraced each day. Picnics with Clara evolved into quiet proposals. "Marry me?" he asked under stars. "Yes," she replied. Their wedding small but heartfelt. Thomas best man, Amelia bridesmaid. The ceremony, in the shop amid shelves of memories, symbolized rebirth. Vows exchanged. In twilight, we found dawn. Honeymoon. A simple trip to the coast, waves crashing like applause. Post-wedding, challenges arose. A developer eyed the neighborhood for gentrification, threatening the shop. Harold rallied the community, petitions flying. "This isn't just brick, it's history," he argued at town hall. Support swelled, preserving the area as a heritage site. Thomas and Sarah welcomed a baby Evelyn Rose, Harold cradling her, eyes shining. "Full circle," he repeated, legacy alive in her tiny grasp. National TV aired a documentary, Harold's Truth. Interviews captured essence, dramatic highs, humanistic lows. Viewers reflected on societal biases. In twilight years, Harold gardened with Clara, planted seeds metaphorically and literally. "Life's about growth," he taught grandchildren. At 89, he passed peacefully in sleep, surrounded by love. Funeral overflowed, tributes pouring. Larson spoke. He forgave, teaching us all. The shop endures, run by Thomas, plaque honoring Harold. His story lives, inspiring. Truth prevails, humanity redeems. In the end, from accusation to apology, Harold's life wove a tapestry of resilience, love, and grace, a beacon for ages.